Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. My name's GBay99, and today I want to talk to you all about League of Legends Champions. About a week ago now, I had a 24-hour stream with you guys over on my Twitch channel where we did pretty much nothing but play ranked. We tried to play a variety of champions, Ahri, Yorick, Fiora, Gnar, and whoever else you guys suggested, but of course the majority of the games were with Aurelia. Aurelia is just that one champion I can't seem to get bored of no matter how much I play her. She fits me and my playstyle perfectly, letting me be super aggressive and go for all these kills while making it out of tight situations with just a sliver of health every time. She complements how I like to play the game so perfectly that I'll almost certainly continue playing her no matter how many nerfs Riot throws at her in the upcoming years. I just think she's so fun. But to be honest, I also think she's a really well-designed champion. Riot has their whole easy-to-learn, hard-to-master design philosophy, and I think Aurelia actually embodies that on an incredible level. She's easy as hell to pick up. I mean, you can just max her E in lane and then suddenly have a 2-second stun very early on into the game, allowing you to farm freely. If your opponent ever engages or the enemy jungler ganks or something, you can just stun them and walk away. But despite how easy she can be if you play her like that, it's also really inefficient to do so, and there's so much more you can do with the champion if you max out your W for damage instead. That's a little bit more risky, but suddenly you have a lot of true damage at your disposal, and if you use your level 1 Q and E very well, then you can pick up some early kills, escape tough ganks, and survive crazy tower dives. She's not really that fun to play against, so I can understand if you guys disagree with me here because of it, but how it feels when you play against her isn't why I think she's well designed. The thing I really like about her is she's a surprisingly intricate champion despite the fact that she only has 4 normal abilities. They may be fairly simple skills that don't really interact with each other in any crazy way like someone like Yasuo's does, but a few of the tiny details that Riot added onto a few of them gave her kit a ton of creativity and excitement. Take her Q ability, for instance, Blade Surge. Blade Surge could have been like any other gap closer in the game, just like a Jax Leap Strike, a mini Akali ult, a Wukong E onto one target, like any other gap closer out there. But that one tiny detail, the fact that it refreshes its cooldown if you kill the target you're Blade Surging to, that changes everything. It changes how you look at the map, how you approach your opponents, how you view the distance in your gap to close. It's a very tiny detail that almost didn't even need to be added onto the champion that suddenly adds a humongous level of depth to her play, despite the fact that it's all coming from just one ability, this simple gap closer. The same goes for her E ability, Equilibrium Strike. It could have just been a weaker stun or a more powerful slow, and if it was either of those things along with a Q that didn't refresh, Aurelia would be a very simple champion. Just Q to your opponents, E them for CC, and auto attack away with your team. But instead, that E ability can be either a stun or a slow depending on how well you play, depending on your health. And depending on how well you manipulate this along with your other abilities, suddenly she's a much more deep champion with pretty intricate gameplay. She's not a cookie cutter one combo that everyone and their mother can figure out after 5 minutes of playing her. Suddenly there will be moments in laning phase where you can only get the kill on your opponents if you play the situation exactly perfectly because of how the minions, monsters, enemy jungler, how everything is set up, and where any slip up could let your opponents escape. Now, the reason I'm going on and on and on about Aurelia, my favorite champion, is because today I want to ask you all who your favorite champions are, and if you think they're well-designed or not. Well-designed champions are an interesting topic to bring up since Riot's champion design team has actually been determining who is and isn't viable in today's meta for quite a while. You guys remember seasons 1 and 2 where Taric, Old Soraka, Janna, Alistar, and Blitzcrank were some of the most popular supports in competitive play bottom lane? The reason that they were so popular is because they were pretty much the only supports at the time, but despite how popular they were back then, we hardly see any of them played competitively or in solo queue nowadays. Some of them have received a decent number of substantial nerfs and changes since then that could have affected their popularity, but that's not really why they fell out of popularity. What really killed them was the introduction of newer champions more than anything else. Why would you play Taric bottom lane when it wouldn't be long before you can play someone like Nami, Lulu, or Zyra? Why would you pick Blitzcrank when you can play Thresh, someone who can still catch people out with hooks, but has so much more utility to back it all up with? Whenever a new champion is released, this is the first thing that pros look at? Does this champion just get outclassed by someone else, or do they really provide something new to the team? When Ziggs was first released, nobody would really touch him in competitive play because he was just a worse version of Karthus at the time, but when someone like Yasuo first came out, pros picked him up right away since he could clearly provide something unique to their team. Riot's champion design team has inadvertently been pushing more and more of the older champions out of viability just with the introduction of newer ones that can do what the older ones do and then some. With a lot of the more recent champions like Yasuo, Braum, and Gnar having a ton of abilities and utility, I'm curious what you guys think of it all. Do you think these champions are designed really well since they have a ton of abilities and they can use them in all sorts of different ways, giving the champions depth in their gameplay? Or do you think they're just mechanically overloaded and Riot should just focus on keeping future releases a little bit more simple to prevent older champions from being pushed out of viability? Personally, I think they should try to hit a sweet spot like they did with Aurelia, but even then, plenty of people think Aurelia isn't all that balanced either and not fun to play against. Regardless, I think it's interesting to think about where League will be in a few years down the road with the introduction of more and more champions. Is every old school champion going to need a rework like Sion, or will the balanced team be able to make more and more of the older crowd out there much more viable with maybe just a few tweaks and balance changes? Anyway, leave your comments down below. I hope you all enjoyed the video, but before I go, I do have a few important announcements. Firstly, I'm going to be attending Summoners Con on November 1st. If any of you are in the SoCal or Los Angeles area, be sure to attend. I'm really excited to make the trip out there and see all the awesome members of the community that will be attending. Hopefully I'll see plenty of you guys there, so be sure to stop me and say hi if you bump into me. More info is going to be linked in the description down below of this video. Also, I'm sorry I didn't get a video out last week. That was mostly due to me preparing for and doing my 24-hour stream. I've been streaming a lot recently, and I'm probably going to keep streaming, shooting for like 4 to 6 days out of the week, getting a decent number of streams out there. If you'd like to come hang out, chill, and chit-chat with us, be sure to go follow my stream and my Twitter, which is where I announce all my streams. Links are in the description, but I hope you all enjoyed today's video. I'll see you all next time, but until then, good luck and so like you, and have a wonderful day.